How's it going, y'all? My name is Nate. Welcome to Colorado Constitutional Community, where we take the Constitution in the United States um, very personally, because we should. And as Coloradoans, we should also be paying attention to what that means. So, regardless of where you stand, if I'm a conservative, don't click off of this. Okay, if you are a liberal or a Democrat, you're welcome here. Okay, we need to stop thinking we're enemies. Okay, we should have a conversation. We should agree to disagree, talk about our differences, but at the end of the day, shake hands and be true neighbors. Okay, that's something I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to work on not looking at the transplant thing. I can consider myself a native technically. I have 95% of my life in this state, and I've seen it changed into something that I don't like. And I don't want a red state. I don't want a blue state. I want a purple state. Okay, That's where I stand. So when it comes to the Second Amendment, because most of this channel is going to be talking about those two, because I believe those first two amendments are what sets our Constitution in a foundation that's solid. I also say this, that I need to continue to educate myself on the Constitution, and I encourage you to do the same thing, because that is a document that sets you apart from the rest of the world and what makes us Americans. Okay, so if you're here legally, that Constitution is as much as yours as it is mine. The Second Amendment is just as much as yours as it is mine, even if you don't agree with it. So, why you should be concerned with what is titled here, SB25-003 has passed. So what now? All right. So let me start with this. I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm going to first start with a statement. Okay. If you are on the left side, this should concern you. Why? Because technically this is an infringement on your constitutional right, the Second Amendment. Okay, this infringes on that. It turns your right into a privilege, which I'm going to share a color of law statement that is actually something that is actually legally binding that we should be paying attention to. So stay tuned for that. But if I'm wrong in who I voted for, you're going to want your Second Amendment. I'm going to want my Second Amendment. Because if who I voted for turns into this evil tyrant that's going to overturn and try to overpower the people by force, that's what the Second Amendment is technically for. And that's why it shall never be infringed. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I pray that does not happen, but that's what it is for. Okay? So with that being said, Governor Polis, thank you, sir, for standing on principle. You actually signed it versus letting it just go into power by default. Congratulations. Either that was voluntold by the lobbyists and certain groups of moms. I'm not going to say the full title because I can't be sued for defamation, because that would be speculation. Because there's a lot of mom groups out there, isn't there? Yeah? Because that's been kind of the rumor. There's been a certain moms groups. Notice the S's on those. Again, speculation. Can't do it. That has kind of forced this through. I wanted to see this more than anything. So, again, thanks for standing on principle, not letting it go by default. We have a year and a half now to show you and thank you. I'm thanking you, Governor Polis, because you're awakening something in Colorado I've never seen. And that is I will be honest, it is more of a conservative movement to take seats across every single board in the state to bring balance back. I, again, do not want a red state. I do not want a blue state. I want a purple state. We need a balance of power and people that actually uphold their oath to the Constitution. And that one person that said on the board to that sheriff, "Oh, you must think you're the protector of the Second Amendment." Duh. Literally swore an oath to it. I guess you forgot that part when you swore yours. Maybe you were playing games on your phone. Just saying. Okay, moving on. So let's talk about that color of law. I think that's the proper term. So this is a legal case, Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, 314 U.S. 105. I'm going to read it and I'm going to go back through it. If the state converts a right, also known as a liberty, into a privilege, the citizen can ignore the license and fee and engage in the right with impunity. Shuttlesworth versus City of Birmingham, Alabama 373 US 26. Again, if the state, if Colorado converts the right, the Second Amendment, into a privilege, the citizen, the Coloradoan, can ignore the license. There is a license into this, and fee. There are multiple fees into this, so you can obtain said license and engage in the right with impunity, meaning that you FFL dealers, you Coloradoans that uphold your Constitution personally, you exercise your right to bear arms, utilize your Second Amendment, technically do not need to engage in this. Not to mention, supposedly, there has been law written in D.C. that protects our Second Amendment rights on a federal level. But we're going to just focus with this because this is the first thing I'm going to call Governor Polis tomorrow after my friends share this with me. So again, if Colorado converts your Second Amendment into a privilege, the citizen can ignore the license and fee. What does this bill want to do? You have to pay a fee to obtain a license to then exercise your constitutional right, the Second Amendment right, to bear arms, to purchase a firearm, that they also have control over, even though in the Constitution, arms does not have a limitation on what that specifies. In technicality, the term in that is used in an old French term that literally means military arms, cannons, not just muskets and muzzleloaders like back in the day back then. Any arms, technically. Do I have a need for a belt-fed machine gun? No, I can't afford the ammo. That'd be fun on the range, but I can't afford the ammo. I'm not going to speak for you, though, unlike these individuals. So what do? Stop leaving the state, start standing up, and start getting involved, just as I'm doing. Start calling Governor Polis and tell him that we are coming after his political career. We want him and all signers of this bill to know that they have PNG'd their political careers. They'll be lucky if they can run on a school board one day. Like, that's how far we're going to take this. You swore an oath to protect our Second Amendment rights and uphold that, and then you completely go against that. Shame on you. And technically, by law, you should maybe realize what that treasonous act is qualification for. That I'm not going to say on here because I don't want to be arrested. But I'm going to say this. It is egregious and it is disgraceful to the state and to your position. Again, maybe you should stop playing video games while you're listening to your citizens speak to you on a board, which is our only way to share our concern when we are the majority that were against this. Again, you have PNG'd your careers, persona non grata. Your aspirations of becoming a president one day, we will never forget. Neither should anybody else, because we are the line. We have the most egregious gun control bill in history in our state right now. And it will not stand. We have a year and a half to do something about it, start getting involved, stop leaving the state, stand your ground. And remember, I am willing to rewrite the Constitution and get rid of the Second Amendment when there is no longer political corruption on either side of the aisle, when there's no longer corruption inside law enforcement, there's no longer corruption in our military, and there's no longer crime in our streets. Then I'll consider it. God bless. Let's get busy.